From Washington, D.C., this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Hena Zuberi. Our top story tonight, the administration of President Joe Biden has filed an objection to a July 4th court order restricting contact between federal agencies and social media companies about online posts. Justice Department lawyers are seeking a stay on the order. U.S. District Judge Terry Doughty is overseeing the related lawsuit filed by Republican officials in Missouri and Louisiana, as well as a conservative website. Those lawsuits allege the Biden administration censored free speech on the internet in an effort to stop misinformation about COVID-19. Justice Department lawyers say Doughty's order was too broad. They're arguing it means all government communications with social media platforms regarding content moderation are prohibited. They also noted that Doughty found no evidence to support the claim that federal officials threatened social media companies. Nearly 37 million people in the United States are at risk due to dangerous heat. According to the National Weather Service forecasts, extreme temperatures will continue to affect the region from the Pacific Northwest to the deserts in the Southwest. The heat wave will extend further into Florida in the Southeast. The service urged about 37 million residents in affected regions to protect themselves from rising temperatures that will continue through to the end of the week. NBA star Enes Kanter Freedom says that he was expelled from the league after speaking up about human rights abuses in China. Freedom told Congress on Tuesday that he was banned from the NBA after wearing shoes pointing to Beijing's persecution of Tibetans and Uyghurs. Freedom said he was told any Celtics game in China would be banned after he wore the shoes. He then agreed to stop wearing them. The athlete was speaking at a U.S. government hearing on American corporate complicity in China's human rights abuses. The NBA's Chinese affiliate is worth about $5 billion. The league has come under criticism for its close ties to the country. Other NBA players have gone out of their way to avoid any criticism of Beijing. Los Angeles Lakers star LeBron James famously pledged not to talk about China. NBA officials have denied any connections between Freedom's ejection from the Celtics and the league's extensive business interests in China. Freedom, who grew up in Turkey, said he never faced issues while speaking against the Turkish government's rights abuses, but it changed after he turned his attention to China. The United Nations Human Rights Council has adopted a resolution against religious hatred and bigotry. The motion was opposed by the United States and the European Union. They say it contradicted their positions on human rights and freedom of expression. The resolution was triggered by a Quran burning in Sweden that led to protests across the Muslim world. An Iraqi-born refugee desecrated the Quran on Eid al-Adha last month outside Stockholm's main mosque. Pakistan and other countries in the Organization of Islamic Cooperation asked for an emergency debate on Tuesday in UN's top legal body. They called for a resolution to condemn Quran burning and urged countries to prevent and prosecute acts and advocacy of religious hatred. UN Human Rights Commissioner Volker Turk condemned acts of incitement against Muslims as well as other religions or minorities as, quote, offensive, irresponsible, and wrong. The Swedish government condemned the Quran burning as Islamophobic. It added the country has a constitutionally protected right to freedom of assembly, expression, and demonstration. UNHRC resolutions are not legally binding, but are seen by states as strong political commitments. 28 of the 47 UNHRC members voted in favor of the resolution, while 12 voted against it. 7 countries abstained from voting. In related news, a copy of the Quran was burnt and thrown in front of a mosque in southwestern Germany. According to the Turkish Muslim umbrella organization DİTİB, the incident occurred on July 8th in front of the Mimar Sinan Mosque. The mosque is located in the town of Molibron in Baden-Württemberg. Osman Edibeli is the director of the Mosque Association. He says that after reviewing surveillance footage, an object was seen being thrown from a vehicle in front of the mosque. It turned out to be a burnt copy of the Quran at the entrance of the mosque. Edibeli said they filed a criminal complaint over the incident and that an investigation has been launched. The incident joins a series of burnings or desecrations of the Holy Book in various European countries. Muslim leaders and politicians have stressed that such incidents are not covered by freedom of speech laws. The European Union's human rights body has called for July 11th to be declared an official day of remembrance for the victims of the Srebrenica genocide. The Council of European Commissioner for Human Rights says it is important to remember the victims and fight against the denial of the genocide. Dunja Mijatovic called it a dark chapter in Europe's shared history. The genocide occurred in 1995 when more than 8,000 Bosnian Muslim men and boys were killed by Serb forces in Srebrenica. The town in eastern Bosnia and Herzegovina has been declared a safe area by the UN amid the country's brutal civil war at the time. The bodies of the genocide victims were found in more than 500 different parts of the country. General Ratko Mladic, who was commander of the Bosnian Serb forces during the genocide, was found guilty of genocide and sentenced to life in prison. People in the Iraqi city of Mosul are working to erase the traces of occupation by Daesh or ISIS to protect the city's cultural heritage. On July 10th, the city celebrated the 6th anniversary of its liberation from the terrorist group's grip. Since then, the city has seen dozens of restoration works and changes. The Baytuna Cultural Center has worked to restore the 12th century Al-Nuri Mosque, which was severely damaged by ISIS. Center employee Yasir Gujani says officials are trying to revive heritage, preserve identity, and promote activities in the city. Staff member Ahmed Nijad told Turkey's Anadolu news agency they're trying to attract foreign visitors to Mosul. They also wanted to remind locals of their history and heritage. The Indian Supreme Court is to hear a special status case for Kashmir. Details after the break. Stay tuned and we will be right back. Welcome back. The Supreme Court of India will begin hearing petitions challenging the revocation of the special status for Indian-administered Jammu and Kashmir in August. The government had revoked the region's constitutional special status and divided the state into 2 centrally administered areas 4 years ago. Article 370 of the Indian Constitution gave Jammu and Kashmir the right to its own constitution, its own flag, and a bicameral legislature with the power to make its own laws. The Indian government has also deleted Article 35A of the Constitution, which gave Jammu and Kashmir the right to determine its own citizenship. The abolition of this article paved the way for Indian citizens to settle in the Muslim-majority region. It has led to fears of demographic changes in the region. In response to the government's action, several individuals, groups, and political parties have filed nearly 20 petitions with the Supreme Court. Chief Justice Dhananjaya Vishwant Chandrachud says daily hearing of the petitions will start in August. The court has directed all parties to submit documents, compilations, and briefs by July 27th. In related news, the Indian government has filed an affidavit with the Supreme Court defending its decision to revoke Kashmir's constitutional status. It claims the move had brought unprecedented development, progress, security, and stability to the region. A UN official has expressed concern over the high number of criminal convictions of Palestinians. Francesca Albanese is Special Rapporteur on Human Rights in the Palestinian territories. She says many Palestinians are convicted for ordinary acts such as protesting or participating in demonstrations. Albanese notes that the Israeli government is enforcing a dual legal system in the occupied territories. She says there is one set of laws for Palestinians and another set of laws for Jewish Israeli settlers. This dual legal system violates international law and is a pillar of Israel's apartheid regime. Albanese is calling on Israel to stop criminalizing everyday actions of Palestinians and to bring its laws in line with international law. She has also called on the international community to hold Israel accountable for its human rights violations in the occupied territories. Albanese says Israel has imprisoned about 1 million Palestinians in the occupied territories since 1977. That includes tens of thousands of children. There are currently about 5,000 Palestinians in Israeli prisons, including over 150 children. About 1,100 are detained without charge or trial. Leaders of the East African Regional Bloc Intergovernmental Authority on Development have met to discuss the conflict in Sudan. Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed hosted the meeting on Monday, which was chaired by Kenyan President William Ruto. The regional bloc called on the parties to the conflict in Sudan to observe an unconditional ceasefire. Members have also called on them to establish a humanitarian zone with a 30-kilometer radius in the capital, Khartoum, to facilitate humanitarian aid delivery. Ruto says that the intensity and scale of the humanitarian crisis in Sudan requires a bold and all-inclusive peace dialogue. He also says these steps would pave the way for the formation of an inclusive transitional system. Sudan has been racked by clashes between the army and the Rapid Support Forces paramilitary organization since April. Pakistan has launched a project to cultivate millions of hectares of uncultivated land to overcome food challenges. The project will use modern agricultural technologies and sustainable precision agricultural practices to optimize production. It is expected to help ensure the well-being of rural communities and preserve the environment. Currently, the area is under cultivation is decreasing, while the population production gap is increasing. According to the World Food Programme, over 36% of Pakistanis are food insecure. Of those people, more than 18% are facing a severe food crisis. The new project is expected to help address these challenges and enhance food security in Pakistan. It will be implemented in phases, with the first phase focusing on converting over 10 million acres into cultivatable land. At least 8 people, including 6 children, were killed on Sunday when a modified auto rickshaw struck a landmine in Somalia. The explosion happened between the village of Jesibo and the town of Bulubord in Harshabelle State. Ibrahim Abdul Ali, a security official in the town of Jowhar, the state's administrative capital, said the victims were two families traveling together to their farms. He told Turkey's Anadolu news agency a landmine was planted by the terror group Al-Shabaab near the road. No group has claimed responsibility so far. The Somali National Army, backed by international security partners, conducted ground and aerial operations against Al-Shabaab Sunday. The government claims these operations killed more than 40 terrorists, including ringleaders. Before we end today's news, may I make a special request? It takes 55 hours of work daily to produce this news for you. It's news with a unique perspective that you find only here. Sound Vision is a nonprofit organization which produces it. And just like PBS and NPR, it depends on your donations. Please visit Muslim Network TV to donate now. Or click the link below to donate. That's all from our Washington, D.C. studios tonight. Thank you for tuning in. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel or hit the bell icon for the latest updates. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV or visit muslimnetwork.tv. Assalamu alaikum and good night.